Luke chapter 6 as we close out our week this week. And just the thought today is loving the unlovable. Now, I don't know about you. Have you ever had someone in your life that's just difficult to love? I mean, it's just difficult because they just constantly bring pain to you. They constantly live in a way that is just opposite than what you think, and you just feel like they are against you, and you just struggle to love them. Well, know that Jesus here in Luke chapter 6 doesn't make not loving the unlovable an option. In fact, he says that we are to love our enemies. Now, when we think about that, what does this mean if we are going to love the unlovable? Well, I think it means, first of all, that we need to understand that this is something that God has commanded to us through his son Jesus. Jesus said, love your enemies. Now that means that we love those who are unlovable. It means that we love those who want to hurt us. It means that we love those who are against us. It means that we love those who really do not seem to deserve our attention and love. The call to love our enemies actually counters the fleshly tendency. Our tendency is to respond by either fight or flight when an enemy arrives. But instead, he says, engage them with love. Now, what does this mean? Well, it means that he tells us the art of loving our enemies. Now, what is the art of loving our enemies? Well, I think the art of loving our enemies begins with sacrifice, when we put down our right to respond in the flesh, when we put down our right to respond in how we think we should respond. So instead of seeking revenge, we seek unity. Instead of seeking retribution, we seek restoration. And we see those things. And so we recognize that this can only be motivated out of the love we have for Christ and the impact of Christ in our life that is moving us and changing us to be more like him each and every day. Remember, Jesus will love his enemies. Those who say crucify him will be the ones he dies for, that he loves them, and he will be sacrificial in that. We recognize that we are instructed to deal with them and notice that we are to do good for them, which means that we should try to point them to Jesus. It means that we should try to strive to live out the way Christ lived out for us who are quite unlovable. At the same time, I think we recognize that love has to be active, not passive, which means it has to be a part of the rhythm of our life. But notice that I think we love our enemies, we display a great power. Let me teach you a little secret here that I hope that you gain. And trust me, I understand it's hard because we're all of the flesh. But when you and I love our enemies, we display a great power, because the power of loving enemies properly comes only from Christ. And that means that you and I are living in the power of Christ in our lives. And we are displaying this great power that has victory over death, victory over division, victory over everything we can imagine, because he is the healing one. He is the reconciling one. He is the one that holds all things together. And so let me ask this question. Are you living in the great power of Christ by loving your enemy? I think it's a struggle we all have to deal with, but we should all strive to say, Lord, help me love those who are unlovable for the sake of giving you glory and making you known. We'll see you next week as we continue to dive into the book of Luke.